Good evening, all, and welcome to the Aspire for Excellence Foundation webinar series. Okay, today is the 19th of April, and I want to begin by saying Happy Easter to you all. How's your weekend going? I hope your Easter weekend has been great. Okay, and tonight on the call, we have with us our speaker. Our speaker is no other person than Mr. Paul Mareli. We will introduce him officially soon. Mr. Paul Mareli will be speaking tonight on a topic I believe we are all aware about and we all know, which is titled Relationship Management, using conflict resolution as a strategy for advancement in life. Mr. Paul Mareli is speaking all the way from Vienna in Austria. He's also a diplomat, okay, like you would know, and he has a lot of experience. I believe that we have a lot to gain, or he was a diplomat in the past. So I believe we have a lot to gain today. So you are all welcome, and I think I will turn the dial now over to George. Okay, I will mute myself. And George, you can introduce our speaker, and right after that, Mr. Paul Mareli, you have the floor. So let me share the screen, and over to you now, George. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Paul Mareli is an executive and personal coach, specializing in personal leadership, organizational development, change management, and cultural transformation. He holds a master's degree in organizational behavior and psychology from the University of London and is a certified coach from the International Coaching Federation. Before venturing into coaching, he worked for over 35 years at mostly senior levels in reputable private sector organizations, Unilever and Total Energies inclusive, in Nigeria and France. Later on with the United Nations in Austria and the United States. During his long and distinguished career, he managed various functions and led many successful initiatives in general, human resource management, risk management, organizational change management, and industrial and economic development issues. He served as the Director and Chief of Staff of the Office of the Director General of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization in Vienna, Austria, and later became the Director and Representative of the organization to the United Nations headquarters in New York, where he served for 7 years. In this role, he played a critical role in the negotiations for the adoption of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, leading to the inclusion of sustainable and inclusive industrialization, which is the SDG 9. In his spare time, Sir Paul is a keen jogger, plays tennis and enjoys soccer, and is an avid reader. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mike, for inviting me to share my perspective on this important topic, relationship management, using conflict resolution as a strategy for advancement in life. I want to start by wishing all the participants a happy Easter in advance. I've already been introduced, and I will continue from there to say that my association and interest in this subject of conflict relationships started from my early career. My background is in human resources, as has been mentioned, and at the initial period of my career, I started in employee relations. And in that capacity, I was involved in designing staff rules and regulations for conflict, disciplinary issues, how to resolve them. And I was also actively involved too in resolving conflicts between team members, conflict between management, individual managers and their staff. And not to mention too, at the collective bargaining level, I was also very actively involved. I also want to add too that I've also managed many teams, large teams, including large teams. And in that capacity also, I was also involved in, as you can imagine, resolving conflict amongst my staff, team members, and especially at the United Nations, where I managed multicultural and multinational teams. I think I got my first realization then that we have the same humanity, that everybody wants the same thing, that the same principles apply. The same principles I will enunciate today applies whether you are from North Korea, whether you are from Japan. People want to be treated with respect. People want to be communicated to. People want to be respected. Then to also say that I also come from a large family, a family of 8. And as you can imagine, I've had my fair bit of dealing with conflicts amongst family members, intra-family conflicts. I presume that is normal. Then finally, in my present capacity as a coach, I found out that most of what my clients, who are mainly top executives, these are very successful people in their career, successful technically, but most of the issues they deal with are relational issues, staff issues, how to have difficult conversation with their staff, how to tell a staff he or she is not performing well. Yeah. So what I'll be sharing with you are my perspectives from these various exposures that I will be sharing with you in the next 45 minutes. And I will also, I hope in the process of the question and answer session, I will also be learning from your experience, and it's all part of the learning process from your individual experience. And I look forward to the Q&A session. Yeah. In terms of the, next slide, please. In terms of the agenda, I will start by discussing relationships. What are relationships? The various types of relationships. And I will also address the issue of quality of relationships, weak and strong relationships. Then, before I go into discussing conflict, what conflict is, I will introduce 2 very important concepts that are very relevant for this topic. And that is the concept of personality types and emotional intelligence. I think it will be these issues, you will hear these words a lot in my presentation. And I think I'm going to discuss it upfront because they are very crucial in the issue at hand, relationships and conflict management. Then, of course, we look at conflict. We look at since the topic is resolving conflicts, we look at the flip side. What are the impacts of not resolving these conflicts? Then we will look at, then in the end, we come to for me, that is the crunch, the strategies for resolving and managing conflicts, the strategies that will lead to advancement in life, how to resolve conflicts purposefully and constructively. So now let's start with relationship. What are relationships? Yeah, relationships, they are the network of connections we make in our life. There could be personal connections, interrelationship, bonds, and they are not static. At different points in our life, we have different relationships. Some of them are professional, some of them are personal, social, yes. And you can categorize them in different ways, but for the purpose of this discussion, I'm going to categorize them on the quality, whether they are strong relationships or weak relationships. Next slide, please. And just to mention that you can use this typology to assess relationship both at individual level with an individual or the sum total of your relationships. And again, it's a continuum. We will always have a bit of weak and a bit of strong. You can measure it in a continuum. But let's see, what are weak relationships? Weak relationships are relationships that are categorized by the following. 1, lack of trust. When there's trust has broken down due to different reasons, it could be the fellow is unreliable, the fellow has betrayed you in the past, the fellow is dishonest, or it could be at individual level, or it could be in if you look at the collective, your collective relationship, many of the relationships are like that. There's also poor communication. You cannot avoid honest and straightforward conversation. There's defensiveness, there's misunderstanding, there's emotional unintelligence. People are not heard, there's no trust, and there's lack of empathy. Failure to acknowledge the feelings of others, and there's criticism, blames, defensiveness. On the flip side, I will share the characteristics of what I call strong relationships. And these are relationships that are based on trust. There's mutual trust, reliability, loyalty. There's open, honest, and respectful communication. There's strong emotional intelligence, recognizing, managing, and responding to emotions thoughtfully. And there's empathy and understanding. We put ourselves in the place of other people. And of course, it's supportive. That kind of relationship is supportive. As you can imagine, what I will be advocating in this presentation is that we should aim for strong relationships. And there's a quote from the popular, famous motivational speaker, Anthony Robbins. He says, the quality of our relationships will determine the quality of our life. Now, what are the benefits of strong relationships? The first is our social capital. I put a quote there, your network is your net worth. Actually, that is the heading of a bestseller by Gail Potter. And in which she argues very strongly that social capital, they're equally as valuable to us as a financial assets, they're assets. In fact, he even went further to argue that social capital is a more important asset than financial assets. Because with a strong network, doors are open for you. Connections, you get information early. Also, career advancement. It's been proven through many research that people who have strong relationships, they do better in their career than, those who have weak relationships. Yes, because for many reasons, they are more likable, they are more accessible, people trust them. And it also leads to better decision making because you have more information, you have more perspectives, and increased productivity. Then there's also strong connection. If you have good relationship, you have strong connection. And I think in a country like Nigeria, where a lot of things get done outside the bureaucratic setting, it's very important to have good relationship where you can just call my friend, Mr. Joe, I need this, and he helps you get it. In fact, just an anecdote, I was surprised when I met an Ugandan sometimes, and he told me, which was very flattering, that they advised him when he came to New York that he should be associating with the Nigerians. That from the Nigerians, you get a lot of information about how things get done. And he was saying it positively. So that is somebody recognizing the importance of strong connection, the benefits of the advantages. For him is that, look, I've just landed. And this fellow, he was not somebody who came in through the back door, came in through a professional. And he said he was told, move within the Nigerians. You get a lot of information. You get a lot of hints, good information on how to settle down. And of course, there's a study too that says those with stronger quality relationship leads to increased survival, increased chances of survival. So I put a quote there, investing time and effort into building strong relationship is essential for personal and professional growth. That is the first hypothesis. And that is what I'll be canvassing and arguing for in this presentation. That we should aim to develop strong and personal relationship for if you want to put it on that way, to say our advancement in life. Yes. I mentioned we are going to introduce two concepts, the concepts of personality types and emotional intelligence. Yes, I'm going to do this before I discuss conflict, the part of conflict and the strategies for relationships. Yes, because these two concepts undermine everything. If we can get it right, we'll find that we are halfway into managing conflict and having strong relationship. Personality types. Yes, what is personality? Yes. Personality is who we are. And when I say who we are, let me say there are 7 billion people in the world, 7 billion plus. There are 7 billion different personalities. We are all different. Our personalities have been shaped by genetic makeup, our experiences, socialization. It could be one singular experience we had in life, many experiences. That is what formed us. We all, even identical twins, they develop differently. And there are many studies that have tried to analyze the different personalities. And the famous one is most of you must have taken the Myers-Briggs, there's this, but there's this famous one that's all based on the what's called the Big Five concept. In other words, you can differentiate people on 5 dimensions. Some people are introverts, some are extroverts, some are very analytical, some use their initiative, some are very intuitive, some rely on their feeling, some rely on logic, some are very cooperative, some are very competitive. Some people are very sensitive, while some have very strong emotional stability. Yes. So people are differentiated in this, and it's a continuum. It's not either you're introvert or extrovert. People fare differently in the continuum, in the various continuums. So our personality type influences our lives. It influences how we view things, how we communicate, how we deal with conflict, how we deal with collaboration. And in relation to conflict, the personality types plays a very important role too in how we deal with conflict. We could have a personality that is very competing, want to win every conflict, want to have the last word in every discussion. There are those that are very collaborating. They want to cooperate. They want to get the middle ground. There are those that avoid conflicts. They just don't want conflict. They walk away. And those that are accommodating, and those that form a compromise. Yes. So why is this important? It's important because it's important to know that we are all different. None of these personalities is good or bad, but just to recognize that we are all different. We come with different personality, we see things different way. If we understand that, it will make us more vulnerable, make us more listening, and make us more respectful of the other people's position. And this leads me to the next one, emotional intelligence, a word that has been bandied a lot these days. But basically, emotional intelligence has 4 parts. First of all, that is our self-awareness. Is to be aware that I'm different from other people. I have my strengths and my weaknesses. And to recognize, what are my weaknesses? What are my strengths? What are the triggers? When do I get angry? In what circumstances do I get angry? The second part of emotional intelligence is that how do I manage my emotion? I know I have this emotion. How do I manage it when I'm dealing with people, when I'm dealing with circumstances? Then the third dimension of emotional intelligence is empathy. How do you deal with others? How do you tune into other people's emotional feelings? Then the fourth is, how do you manage relationships effectively? Yeah. All right. Again, why is this important? It's important because if we can, first of all, recognize that we are different, that our interlocutors, our colleagues, our family members, that they are different, when we manage them differently, we will be more sensitive. And we treat individuals as, we won't treat individuals as one. We will adopt a different approach for dealing with different individuals because they are different. Some people, my junior sister, I hope she's not listening to me. When you have an issue, she wants to discuss it to the end. Even if you tell her, look, I've agreed with you, I understand. No, she wants to discuss it with the end. So for that kind of person, when I deal with her, I'm very patient. Some people are more, oh, don't worry. Yes. So the importance of these two points is that if you want to take anything, if I want you to take anything from this, is that we're in different personality types. We are different, and when we deal with people, when we deal with either family members, work colleagues, we should have this idea in mind that we are dealing with different people, and we should tailor our relationship to manage the different idiosyncrasies of the different people. It's not as difficult as I'm describing it now. It's just the realization. All right, so let's go to conflict. So conflict. Conflict refers to a situation in which 2 or more parties disagree. Normally, there are various elements. First of all, there's a disagreement because people don't agree on the same thing or they have different perspectives. It's a conflict because there's an opposition, there's active resistance, or or somebody's opposing either a view or a vision or whatever. And in some cases, there is tension. Sometimes this tension is explicit, sometimes it's unspoken, or it's hidden. And of course, there's always an emotional involvement. I mean, when there's a conflict, there's the emotions are involved. There's either anger, frustration, and these conflicts can be open. Open, in other words, it's split. It's out in the open. It could also be frozen. The issue is unaddressed, but it's just there. It's the conflict is there, but it's not discussed. Or there's a cold peace. There's an issue, but it's not acknowledged, and there's tension. Yes, but whatever the case, they all lead to erosion of trust. They all lead to tension, bad relationship, and sometimes stress. And yes, so conflict is it's not a good state to be in. Yeah. But the irony is that, next slide, please. Yes, just because of the earlier point I made about individual differences. Individual differences, we struggle for limited resources, is that conflict is inevitable. So we must have conflict. But how we handle this conflict is important. And I put a quote there from Max Lucado. Yes, conflict is inevitable. We have it in amongst family members. In fact, the workplace, let me announce it, is inherently conflictual. You are fighting for resources. People have different views. People come from different walks of life. People want to be, there's even a struggle for the few promotion opportunities. The workplace is inherently conflictual, yes. But how we decide to handle it is important. We can either decide to embrace it and manage it, or let ourselves be carried with it. And my recommended option is that we embrace it and manage it. And at the end, I will be giving some recommendations on how to do that. Next slide, please. So we talked of, what if conflicts are not on all right. The topic is, how do we resolve conflict for advancement in life? Now, what are the impacts of unresolved conflicts? Damaged relationships. When there's conflict, relationships are damaged. People are not speaking to each other. People form camps. They keep malice, whatever. And in some cases, it leads to serious health. It has serious health consequences because people are stressed. People find if you are talking of the work environment, people find it unhelpful. People find it stressful. Some people want to avoid it, especially those who cannot cope. Sometimes it leads to mental health. It leads to anxiety, depression, depending on people's coping mechanism. When people cannot cope with it, with the stress, with the conflict, it can have mental health implications. Of course, productivity loss, sick leaves, declining productivity. People are in the office, but they are not contributing because they are sick. And of course, there's communication breakdown. Tension and avoidance as a result of conflict. The person you have the conflict with, you don't want to talk to the person. Yes, and it leads to distance. Yeah. It leads to distance and avoidance. You start avoiding people. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Very good. Yes, so now why do we have to manage conflict? Why is it advantageous to manage conflict? First of all, from the personal point of view, I will imagine that it's all in our interest to have good relationship with everybody. We don't want unknown enemies. We don't want people who are behind our back, who have a negative impression of us, and people when they're supposed to be putting a good word for you, they are disparaging you. And And let's face it, when you have too many of those, when you have too many negative remarks being gossips about you, or things being said behind your back, it's part of your reputation. It's not good for you. It's not. Yes. So we all have an interest in not having all these secret enemies or silent enemies, because we don't have a good relationship with them. So and there are a number of other benefits. There's stronger relationships when you have good relations with people, manage conflicts. That will always come. You manage conflicts well, you have stronger relationship with people. There's increased empathy. Your network expansion is very big. And these days, I mentioned it earlier, that your network is your net worth. You have opportunities. You have, people you can call on when you need things, when you need information, when you need to get things done. And at the end of the day, we also mentioned too that the IQ can only get you to the table. What gets you to lead the table or make you stay in the table is really your social skills, how you are perceived. Are you a team player? Are you cooperative? Let me put the word nice in quotes. Are you a nice person? And again, I already mentioned your reputation. Yes, you don't want to be known as a troublesome person. You don't want people describing you in negative. You don't want to be known for being to be described in negative light. And increase productivity, also reduce stress. There's no, when there's conflict, it's not good for health. You are not free, avoidance, you can't relate well to people, you can't, you avoid places where you should be going to because you don't want to see Mr. X who you don't agree with, and of course, improve health and increase resilience. So there are a number of reasons, there are a number of benefits why we should cultivate very strong relationships. Yeah. All right. So now I plan to spend more time, and I think, yes, luckily, I think I've done well with time, on this part of the presentation, which is the strategies for resolving and managing conflicts, which is it's what the topic's about, or that's the way I perceived the topic. The topic is strategies for resolving and managing conflicts, but I've taken a broader view of this. For me, it's not only resolving. For me, it's managing the conflict cycle, from avoidance to managing conflicts and de-escalating conflict. So the strategies I'm going to share, the proposals I'm going to share are I'm coming from that premise that it's not only to resolving conflict, but also to avoid, manage, and also de-escalate conflict. And I'm going to spend a bit longer here. So my first recommendation is what I call always leave a change on the table in all your dealings. Always leave a change is an American slang. And what it means is, when you imagine, the metaphor is going to a restaurant, and when you are leaving, you give a tip to the waiter. When you are not around, somebody says, "Oh, do you know Joe?" Oh, for them, Joe is a nice man. Next time you come, they are happy to see you because you've made them, you left them feeling good. And I think that's the challenge I want to give to you, to everybody. In all your dealings, and with anybody, from the messenger to the chief executive, from the everybody you deal with in meetings, business meetings, private meetings, in all interactions, try to leave a change on the table. Try to leave the interaction on a positive note. And let me clarify now that positive note, because I find that, I mean, when I deal with my clients, my coaching clients, I always tell them, you can still say no. It's not to give your interlocutor everything he or she wants. Yeah? So that's not yes. But try to treat the person with respect. Yes. Try to treat the person with respect, with empathy. Be nice to, yes. There's a famous quote by Maya Angelou, the famous civil rights lady from America. She said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did for them, but they will never forget how you treat them. I want you to think about it. Yes. People will never forget how you treat them. Yeah. So once, I mean, for me, all the subsequent recommendation is all aimed at this in all your interactions. Aim, let it be an objective. It's not always achievable, sometimes not achievable, but aim to always leave a change on the table, always leave on a positive note. And again, I want to repeat, the positive note is not, the fellow asks for you give your interlocutor everything he or she wants. No, but it's just that you treat the person with respect, you practice empathy. Yes, and yes, you put yourself in the person's position. Slide number 2. We should have strategies, personal strategies to avoid conflict. So that, I mean, based on our personality, we should know what triggers conflict in us. We should know when it's coming. It could be some kind of people. It could be some type of circumstances. We should know we should have a mechanism already to how to deal with such situation. Sometimes it's moving away. When you know, look, this situation is coming, it always brings out the worst in me. Sometimes it's promising that, look, I'm giving yourself a challenge. I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to manage it. I'm going to, yes. Also the same with managing conflicts, then also de-escalate. For each of these, recommendations, I'm putting some tips, and they are there. I'm sure the slides will be sent to you, so you can look at just some few hints. Then the third, which should be obvious, is communication. Communication is actually the lifeblood of relationship. It is with communication we do the harm. It's communication we repair it's communication we do the damage. It's through communication too we repair the damage. And when we say communication, it's not only what we say, it's how we say it. And just among the hints I've given there is one, active listening. Yes, when we deal with people, is that we should, active listening is listening to understand the person, not to reply. In 90% of the time, we want to reply. We immediately go back to our personality, we already have the answer based on where we are coming from. And let me challenge you that if you know the response you are given, sometimes you think you've thought through. Let me challenge you that most of the answers we give when we reply spontaneously, we're actually not thinking about it. They're already 80% formed by our personality. Yes. So that is the more reason why we need to, the person starts, and I've been in that situation a couple of times. The person starts, you think you know where the person is going to. You already made up your mind. Yes. Yes. But take time to understand. Take time, ask questions. Where are you coming from? I don't understand this. Please, can you explain? Also, listening for emotions and unspoken concerns. Look at the body language. Yes. Then also use respectful tone and language, avoiding insults, criticisms, or condensation. Yes. Or communicate to make yourself understood. and make sure the person, your interlocutor, understands you. Yes. It's your responsibility to make yourself understood. Yeah. And it comes back to my first point: leave a change on the table. If you take time to communicate, it's very unlikely you will rub off badly on your interlocutor. There's a lot on communication, but yes, communication is very important. But it's one of the most wrongly used tool for relationships, because again, like I mentioned, we are all creatures of habits. We've already formed the habits. We just reply. The reply is already there. Based on where we are coming from, which is 90%. 80%, like I said, is already 80% preformed. Yes, even though when we think we are being objective, we are being analytical, dig deeper, it's not exactly. All right. Next slide, please. Now, emotional intelligence again, very important. Yes. Pay attention to, try to put yourself in your interlocutor's position. When I say interlocutor, not only in meetings. It sounds like it's a meeting. No, everybody we speak with, listen to their body language, unspoken messages, make people feel valued. Yes, show empathy. Again, empathy comes up again. Show empathy and understanding of the other person's perspective, even if you disagree. A tip: it's been proven that when you mention people's name, they are more likely to be attentive, and it establishes more rapport. Use people's name. Listen to their point of view. Be respectful of their point of view. Even when you disagree respectfully, but make sure you understand. Make sure they feel important. Next.
You are muted. We cannot hear you. You are muted, sir.
Just now, or do I go back?
No, when you said next slide.
All right, good. All
right, sir. Okay,
all
good.
Right, good.
It's okay now.
Yeah, all right, good. So learn to say no gracefully, or how to have a difficult conversation. And I was saying that in my coaching assignments, I found out that this is one of the issues that comes up regularly. Managers have problem having difficult conversations. And let's face it, when we say no, we say, we want to resolve conflict for advancement in life. Saying no is one of the biggest way of causing rupture in relationship. So we should, anytime we have to say no, let's prepare or have a difficult conversation. Let's face it, it's much more difficult, because whoever you are speaking with is not going to be happy with the news you are going to give the person. But so you prepare, you think of how to present it in a way that will be respectful, that will be easy, the no will be easy to take. Explain your position, use a polite tone, offer alternatives if possible, be direct and clear. Say no, what you owe the person in saying no is to have a respectable conversation with the person. Yes. That is what, after doing that, the person may still not be happy, but at least let the person, when the person leaves your presence, let it be that the person feel you treated the person with respect. He or she may not agree with the position, with what you communicated to him or her, but let the person say, oh yes, but yes, I may not agree with you, but at least you treated me, you did not treat me shabbily. Let the person know you took the process of saying no seriously. Next slide, please. Who is right? Gen Z cultural issues. This is very tricky because you are dealing with people's, especially on cultural issues. When I say cultural issues, I'm talking of alternative lifestyle. And Gen Z, for those who have Gen Z children or who are managing Gen Zs, there's been a lot of conflict now, between intergenerational conflict between parents, children, Gen Z and they call the analog, or the what do they call them? The analog, they call them analog and digital. The Gen Zs, they call us the analog. Yes. All right, good. So it's a challenge that needs I think it needs some attention. Sometimes it's a choice, especially for alternative lifestyle. It's a choice between compromising or total rupture of relationship. So I think we have to, especially for parents, we have to make up our mind. Do we want to compromise or rupture the relationship? I think that is a choice for each individual to make. For Gen Zs, they like to be treated as adults. They want their views heard. And let's give them some credit too. They have some things to bring on the table. It's not the way we used to do it. We should listen to them and accommodate their strengths. We should be prepared to be adaptable and flexible. And yes, I already mentioned it. We should understand their perspective. Know your triggers. When it comes to the issue of emotional intelligence again, know what triggers negative emotions in you as well as positive emotions. You know situations that make you angry, irritable. You know, understand the situation that makes you flare up. Then observe your thoughts and feelings. Then learn how to control them. When you see the situation coming, already know, when this thing happens, this is how I react. And sometimes too, it's like habit forming. You already decide if this one is coming, I will do something else. Or you reframe the situation. Reframe it to prevent you from carrying out your the reaction you want to avoid. So it's very important that as we interact with people, I presume we're all in a position, the audience in this presentation, where we already know, we know what triggers us. We know situations that provokes us. We know situations too that makes us happy. So let's try and see how we can manage them by already having some mechanisms to deal with them when we see the triggers, when we see the red lights flashing. Then we trigger our response to be able to manage the situation. And finally, be open to compromise and solutions in all your dealings again. Let it be, put on your best foot, always aim for a win-win situation where possible. Always try to get clarity of the situation and think of what next. Be solution-oriented. Don't look back, don't say what happened. Always think of what next. How can we solve the problem? How can we resolve this? What is the next best solution? And again, be comfortable about being wrong and changing your mind. It's a sign of vulnerability, and it's a strength. It's a strength that you can say, yes, I'm wrong, or I want to change my mind in the interest of peace. Then always think, I think I've mentioned it, think what next, not what happened. What happened is looking back, and sometimes, or in most cases, it's blaming, and yes, but what next? It's finding the solution. Now, after all these, what I want to leave you with? Just a summary of what I've been saying in the past 40 minutes. First of all, positive relationships are beneficial. It's in our interest to have strong relationships to be trust, respectful, showing emotional intelligence, good communication, both with individuals and collectively. Second takeaway, it doesn't come easily. It's an effort. We have to work. We have to work towards it. We have to work within ourselves. We have to learn when to compromise. Sometimes we have to bite the bullet and do things we don't want to do because we want to have this good relationship. Yes. When we have meetings, I mentioned it, always leave on the change on the table. It's an effort. Sometimes you have to be patient. You just have to be patient. Some discussions can drive you mad, but you just want to be patient because you want the person to feel well. You want to lead the person in. You want to make the person feel good. Third, unresolved conflicts are consequential. you don't know when it will flare. You don't know when it can work negatively against you. So it's good to always minimize it, minimize unresolved conflicts, try to resolve conflicts. And that's why sometimes, and I think, yes, I think I should mention it here, it's good that from time to time, we take stock of the state of our relationship quotient. Look around, how good is my relationship quotient? Then maybe you start, thinking of individuals and call them. Yes, look, I've not heard from you a long time. I hope there's nothing. Yes, let's go for a drink. Yes, both individually and collectively. Then I think the last 2 points, sorry, a constructive resolution approach is key. And I think, what is the last one now? Then the last one, conflict resolution can be mastered. Hopefully, with the point with this discussion, we can go away with 1 or 2 points or 2 lessons that can help us in moving our relationship quotient to move the needle a bit. And the rest will come automatically. Advancement in life, progress in life, good relationship with people. You are happier. I think on this note, I will stop and look forward to hearing to the Q&A sessions where hopefully I will be getting your perspectives, and also you provide me an opportunity to share more on some of these points. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Could we please appreciate our speaker for today? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, it's time for Q&A. The hands are going up quickly. The first hand we have up here today is yes, Obeshe Akaye. I hope I pronounced it well. At least I know Margaret. I believe I pronounced Margaret well. All right, Margaret, you have the floor. Your hand was up first. So go ahead, you can unmute yourself. But please, let's appreciate our speaker. Our speaker has done really well. Thank you very much, sir. So let's take the first question from Margaret. Margaret, please, your question. You can unmute, sir.
Okay, good evening. And thank you, Sir Paul Mareli, for that amazing presentation. I gained a lot. Thank you for relating it, making it very practical. I want to ask quickly, how do you approach conflict resolution with somebody who is strong-willed? First of all, the person is strong-willed and is not willing to listen. So whatever is his views, he thinks he's right and is not willing to listen. How do you approach conflict resolution with somebody with that kind of personality, strong-willed and unwilling to listen? Thank you.
Should I answer now?
Yes, you can answer. Yes, we have a lot of people, about 5 people. So,
all right.
All right. So go ahead quickly, sir. Yeah.
So thank you very much for that question. So I presume you are relating it to a work environment, because the question you asked, I think I can detect that it's in a work environment. So now as a supervisor, what do you owe that person? You owe that person the duty to listen to the person, to explain your point of view, and maybe if you want to, then if you observe, all right, so you owe it a duty to listen to the person, explain your point of view. If you are giving him assignment, give him clearly. If you have an observation about him, respectfully tell him in a nice environment. Not when I say don't go out of your way, but I'm not saying take him to a restaurant, but in the office, but respectfully, Mr. X, I want to discuss some issues with you. I've noticed that how can we resolve this issue? By the time you do all this and the person does not respond or is still uncooperative, you apply the organizational mechanism that is available for dealing with such case. For you, you've done your own part. You've treated him with respect. You've not malice, treated him with respect, treated him fairly. And now let me make one point because this issue keeps coming up. Like I mentioned in my coaching assignment, the job of a manager is managers are not cruise ship directors. It's not to make everybody happy. What you owe your staff is to treat them respectfully. Yeah. So in that case, in the case you've mentioned, approach it with good faith, because I'm not saying this is the case, but what I've observed is that if you already feel this failure is difficult, naturally we respond to the person in that manner, and the cycle gets worse. Yes. So you have to be detached. Don't go to his level, because when it's difficult, this is part of the issue of conflict. It becomes difficult, uncooperative, and yes, then you, the manager, reacts. So even if you are giving an assignment, maybe you send him by email. Yeah. So what you owe all your staff is to, back to the same point, is to treat them respectfully, do what, carry out your role as a manager, including the mechanism the organization has for dealing with non-performance. It's all part of it. You will go home and sleep well knowing you did the correct thing. Like I mentioned, your job is not to, you have a job, and you have to get the job done. I hope that satisfies the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Carrot and stick. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have a lot of people here. So maybe we will, okay, we have some questions in the chat box. I'll read one question here in the chat box, okay? The first one I can see here is from Isaac Okuma. Thank you for the wonderful insight. I want to ask, as a team leader, how do you manage conflict in your team? I guess this person is a team leader and he has conflict in his team. So that's the first question. There are a series of other questions. So
all right, so conflict in teams. It depends on the context. All right, but there are some principles. First of all, it has to be handled quickly and firmly, and transparently and objectively. If it's a conflict between individuals, I think you can, as a first step, call both of them individually and tell them you expect them. Listen to them, try to see whether, you can find it's something you can detect what the problem is and resolve it. If it's not going well, if that one still does not resolve the issue, you have to call two of them together and they tell you what the issue is and you handle it. You take a decision. As a manager, you have to assert your authority. You take the decision. And now, let me quickly say that, and maybe I should have said that from the beginning. Let's always focus on issues. Sometimes most of this conflict is because we focus on persons. Let's always, especially in workplace issues, let's focus on the issues. What are the issues? If we focus on the issues, it's more easier to settle. Once you start getting to the personality, it becomes complicated. Then finally, as I always say, sometimes there are people that can never work together. It's just part of life. In fact, let me give you another statistics. And this is a general statistics. It says 20% of people, conventional wisdom, will not agree or will not like you, will disagree with you, will challenge your position all the time. Different studies confirm that. So let's not focus on the personalities, what they like, what they don't like, but let's focus on the issues, because the issues are objective. You can arrive at a solution with issues. So two people, team members, not on good terms. I don't know the circumstances you've described, but yes, this will be my approach. This is the approach I would recommend. Yes, focus on the issue, focus on their being heard, take a decision, and if it's not being implemented, then if the two people cannot work together, you separate them if it's possible, if you have that authority.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let's go to the next question we have here. This is from Idowu Cornelius. Okay, he says, in a situation whereby you try all your best possible to maintain a good relationship with someone, but the person is indifferent, how do we handle such a situation? This is the next question in the chat box.
I think I partly answered it in my last response. We just have to accept it's not very pleasant to say that some people, we can never get on with some people. It's scientific. It's, yes, we can never get on with people. As long as the person is not hostile, then you don't have to be friends with everybody. But don't be enemy with him. Don't be an enemy. Don't be an enemy. Don't antagonize him. Don't be disrespectful to him. And if you have to work with him, focus on the issues. Work with. You don't have to be friends with. You don't have to have coffee with him. You don't have to have a beer with him after work. No. If he's not responding to your, move on. I mean, you've done your best. The important thing is that your conscience is the best. You've satisfied. Always put yourself in the position that you did your best. You did what you had to do. And part of it is not being malicious, being respectful. Yes, not, yeah. So in the case you've just described, if you've made all the effort, as long as it's not hostile, don't be, there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe you can go a step further. Maybe you can ask him, yes, I've been trying. I find out you're not responsive. Is there anything? Short of that, I don't see what else you can do. But if the friendship is valuable to you, you can take the additional step of inviting him to say, look, I've been trying to be closer to you. Observe. Of course, you give him example. I mean, you have to be factual. On so and so date, I invited you. Give an excuse on so and so date. Is there any problem?
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. The next question in the chat box is a thank you, Ambassador, for your response to the first question and for this eloquent and impactful presentation. In relation to the first question you handled, how can this be approached if it is in the reverse? It's a bit. Did you copy that?
Yes, he said the first question. Please, can you remind me of the first question? And
that's the issue now. Lexol Holdings, I guess this should be Luca, if I'm not mistaken. Is it possible for you to precise, Luca, the first question and just to precise the question? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, Ambassador, and thank you once again. So, in the first question, it was asked about a conflict with someone who is strong-willed and difficult to listen. The person doesn't listen. And in your response, it really hit home with a relationship between a team leader and the team member. So my question is, suppose the strong-willed person who doesn't listen is the team leader, and hypothetically you are the team member. So in this case, you're dealing with someone who has an impact on your performance at work and your career's future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much again for that question. The truth is that the boss has the final say. He has the accountability. And I mean, that is the way it is. The organization has put him in that position. So again, I always try to keep it simple to say, in that case, communication, I will make my best case. Emotional intelligence, find out what is the best way to approach him. If it's the personality type that likes flattery, can I use a bit of flattery? If it's the personality type that likes logic, can I change my approach to apply more logic? If it's the type that likes details, should I give him more details? If it's the type that likes wants very short presentation, should I give him a very brief presentation? In other words, put your best foot forward, use emotional intelligence, make your proposals to him. Make it known to him that through your attitude that you mean well. You are not, you have no agenda. If you do all this and he still sticks to his position, then he's not being obstinate. He's just exercising his managerial discretion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's take the last question in the chat box. My question is on number 6, and to be direct and clear, my question is, I have been having conflict with my younger sister for a long time now, and I have been trying to resolve it, but it's not working. I have tried to focus on the issue and not on the person, but it's still not working, sir. What can be done? Thank you.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just going to think of a situation that has worked for me. I'm going to start with that before I even think of how to logically respond to your question. I came back from Austria, from Vienna, on a Christmas holiday when I was still working. And I was told, we went for a reception, and I was told that one of my senior sister is very angry with us. We just went to our place the next day, and we said, look, sister, we are sorry. We don't want to hear. We don't want to hear. We don't want to judge. We don't want to know who is right or wrong. We are just sorry. If we have annoyed you, sister, we are sorry. We went as myself and my junior brother. She started saying, no, it's not, there's nothing. Papa. In the end, we ate together. Everything went well. So for family members, that is the approach I take, and I don't see why it won't work. If you don't resolve, if you try to apply logic, then everybody comes and says, I'm right, I'm wrong, you did me this. So my advice to you is just try and say, look, sister, I'm sorry, whatever. I may be wrong. I don't want to go into that. I think that is the number one approach I would recommend. Now, let me put on my coaching cap. Let me try to be more logical. You say it's not been working. If it's not been working, that means you've not satisfied what she wants. She must want something. Have you tried to find out, not what she tells you, what is the real stake? What is the issue for her? Because if you've not resolved that issue, you will be. That's why the issue has not been resolved. Yes. So think about it, or maybe you ask her. Try to. And again, the issue of emotional intelligence comes. If you want to discuss, really want to go into detail with her, don't take her first answer. She will probably tell you, "Oh, everything is fine," because yes. But try and probe deeper. If everything is fine, then why is this issue still? Yes, then try and see how you can meet her midway, or if you are really desirous of maintaining this relationship, which I encourage you should, is that then you see how you can accommodate what our needs or our interest. That will be my response.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I don't know if Margaret, can you unmute yourself now? Your hand is still up just before we close for tonight. Your hand is still up. Can you unmute yourself and ask your question, and maybe we'll call it a night. Go ahead, Margaret.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
You so much. Yes, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation and everything. My question is, he said we should always check on our friends, we should call them and possibly visit them. My question is, in a situation where you check on them, you go to their houses, they will not want to open the gate for you. You call them, they will not pick your calls. You send them messages through WhatsApp, even text messages. They don't open their messages. In such a situation, what will you want somebody to do? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so first, if you have many of such examples, I will say you try and do a post-mortem, because it's not too usual that try and find out why. Because the situation you've described, in my opinion, is not too common. Please let me put a disclaimer. I don't want to say I've been away for too long, so sorry if I'm misstating the cultural, if I'm missing anything. But from what I know, that would be an unusual, that many people, you call them, they don't respond, they don't open their houses to you. So the first thing is to try and find out why. And if these relationships are important to you, then try and discuss it openly with them. Sister or brother or friend, I've been trying to reach you. Is there anything wrong? You've not been responding. Did I annoy you? Or maybe you just take the simple approach to say, if I've annoyed you, forgive me. Let's if you're not prepared to tell me what I've done to you, please forgive me. And I want this friendship. I think sometimes this simple, basic approach is just what we need.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Our guest for tonight is speaking from Vienna in Austria. Like I said, he has a lot of experience and he's worked in the UN in the past. So we really want to thank you for your sacrifice. So please, one more time, can we all please appreciate him for all the efforts he has made tonight? And I also want to, I would say, on behalf of Aspire for Excellence Foundation, wish every one of you a very, very happy Easter weekend. And I really, really want to thank you. Thank you, our guests, for coming tonight. Okay. And thank you for all you have done. Okay.